So now these first set of framers, my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters, they'd lied too many times with trying to claim that they'd witnessed me commit a crime like how they did on November 20th. Every single time they were caught lying due to them already confessing to the government informant or due to phone conversations having to be retrieved, only to find out that my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters were lying over and over again due to realizing that there was no way that they would get any money from my brain savant. My dad, the greedy framer's sister, the spokesperson's mother, would send me blackmail price tags for things like $60 million that she sent me 9 times. My dad, the greedy framer, sent me blackmail price tags, with the favorite one being 8.9 million euros that he sent me 19 times on the morning of February 19th, in just one morning alone, along with Bentley for dad and all these disgusting requests that started on the night of February 17th at 3:02 a.m. The reason it started on February 17th at 3:02 a.m. was because he did not want to admit before then that he was after the money. In fact, he would joke around about my brain savant, act like he knew nothing about it and that he didn't even believe in it. On the night of February 17th at 3:02 a.m., my dad, the greedy framer, is informed by the government that my brain savant getting freed is inevitable and that there's absolutely nothing that anyone can do about it. This is the point where he panics, freaks out, and makes up a list of his own, a very disgusting list of things like $25 million Rolls Royce, something that costs $500,000, or €8.9 million mansion that he asked me for, that he repeatedly kept sending it to me over and over again. The €8.9 million mansion, he asked me for 19 times on the morning of February 19th. Something I will not give him a single penny of. Absolutely disgusting requests, only made to harass me and make me feel like they're going to take my money as soon as my brain savant is freed. Money which I will not give a single penny to anyone. They could go to the news media and make all these false testimonies like November 20th all over again and try to claim that they really did witness me commit the crime from November 20th. I couldn't care less. I will not give anyone a single penny. These are the first set of framers, relatives that law enforcement found to be speaking out against me in my trial. They were absolute liars and fabricators who were lying and fabricating over and over again, and the spokesperson knew that each and every single one of these things were lies, where he knew about the November 20th false testimony being fabricated while it was being fabricated, and yet he pushed forward all of these lies very aggressively due to his own extreme envy. While he was doing this, his mother was sending me blackmail requests for $60 million. Every single day, she sent it to me at least 9 times for that, along with other blackmail disgusting requests, only to harass me and make me feel like they were going to take my money as soon as my brain savant would get freed. We know for a fact that these people are not joking about these blackmail price tags, since my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters did not whisper one word about it till February 17th at 3:02 a.m. Till then, they only joked around about my brain savant, saying things like, "Oh, we don't even believe in a brain savant. You actually believe in this thing." That sort of thing. On February 17th at 3:02 a.m., these framers, my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters, are informed that my brain savant getting freed is inevitable and that no one's going to watch his insane videos anymore, since he made those before June 28th, only to take it back on June 29th, calling my sister and like sending me ads all day, night long, father-son ads all day, night long, June 29th. July 18, calling my sister and going like, "Oh, I feel like baby Hassan is just born right now. I'm thinking of all the baby names for him. I think I'll go with Babuji." And then he tried a month and a half later, sending me a movie Nowhere Special to try to gain sympathy from me. Then November 1st, he tried again, asked me to go with him. Obviously, I wouldn't do that. Go with someone who's been trying to frame me over and over again, only due to extreme envy of my brain savant money, and now he only wants me to go with him due to greed. He thinks he's really slick. He could convince me to give him money or live with him so I could give my money to him, which I would never do. He gets incredibly irritated after November 1st, 2025, and tells all his Framer sisters to go together to court and make sure my brain savant could not get freed. The courts informed them I've never done anything bad my entire life, been watched since I was an 11-year-old child, due to which they've fully fabricated false testimony against me on November 20th, 2025. One that created mass panic and chaos throughout the entire news media. So basically, these were the first set of relatives, my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters, who were only after money. And they never admitted to this. In fact, they would only make jokes about it till February 17th at 3:02 a.m. when they were told by law enforcement, not only is no one going to watch your insane videos since you made it before June 28th, only to run after money after June 29th, which now is an undeniable fact since, let me tell you what happened February 17th. As soon as he's told about this, he makes a list of things that he wants as soon as my brain savant gets freed. Disgusting list of things like $25 million Rolls Royce, 8.9 million euro mansion. I will not give anyone a single penny. After my brain savant gets freed, yes, it'll be really extraordinary, just like artificial intelligence says. Artificial intelligence, by the way, is not a liar, and I'm not psychic enough to guess what it said about my brain savant. Which means that I'm telling the truth, and so is artificial intelligence. When my brain savant gets freed, it will be extraordinary. One of its kind in the entire world, and I will use it to make money. When I do so, I will be famous. And if these people go to the news media and try to claim again that they really did witness me commit the crime from November 20th, well, they can go ahead and try to do so then. I will not give them a single penny no matter what anyone does. I'm not running for office. I don't care what people say about me or the false testimonies that they make against me. I don't need anyone's vote. I will work on my inventions and I will use my photographic memory to do so. I couldn't care less what people say or think about me. These were the first set of relatives that law enforcement used against me. My dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters, who were all about money. Something they never revealed till February 17th at 3:02 a.m. when they were finally found out. Because they were told that my brain savant getting freed was inevitable. At which time they went ahead and revealed exactly what they wanted. All the money in the world. Disgusting list of things while people are starving in this world. This disgusting, ugly old man with a 5-foot-long beard wants a $25 million Rolls Royce, something that costs $500,000. But look at the disgust from this man. He has a 5-foot-long beard, and you have to understand the fact that people are starving in this world, in places like Africa, and he wants a Rolls Royce so people would think he's better than them. These were the first set of relatives that law enforcement used. They were all about envy and greed. The greed was seen on February 17th. Since before February 17th at 3:02 a.m., they never even revealed that they thought that my brain savant had any monetary potential. And the reason they didn't reveal this was because of extreme envy. That people will start liking me and running after me if they see people like these envious people running after me as well. When my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters were told on February 17th at 3:02 a.m. that my brain savant getting freed was inevitable and that no one would watch their videos, suddenly now they started believing in my brain savant. So much so that they created a disgusting list of items that they wanted to get from me. Items out of which I will not give a single penny to anyone for. They could go to the news media after my brain savant is freed and claim that they really did witness me commit the crime from November 20th. I couldn't care less. I'm not running for office. I don't care what people think about me. A lie is a lie, no matter how many times you repeat it. I think we found that out right now. Since my dad, the greedy framer, after I refused his disgusting request to sleep with his ugly big fat sisters in early March 2026, tried his lies very aggressively in court, thinking that these lies repeated by 3 of his big fat framer sisters, or repeated by him very aggressively, would be taken as a truth, only for the courts to retrieve phone conversations and find out that a lie is a lie, no matter how many people you get to repeat it, how aggressively you do so, and how many times you do so all day long. A lie is a lie. No matter how many times repeated, how many big fat people you try to repeat it with you, and how aggressively you repeat it, a lie remains a lie. These were the first set of relatives that law enforcement used against me. Since the entire year of 2025, they had been losing. And so then, they were fabricating false testimonies against me. The next set of relatives that law enforcement was trying to use against me were people like Asad from Michigan. And Asad was all about extreme envy. At one time, Asad used to ask law enforcement not too long ago, like a year or two ago, it would say on my TV home screen, it would say, "Hello, brother," with like this Coca-Cola thing on my TV home screen. The only reason Asad was doing this was because he was a pervert who wanted to run after these girls who were told about my brain savant. And suddenly right now, due to extreme envy, Asad felt that he wanted to lock up my brain savant in any way, shape, or form he possibly could. The only problem with this was my history, law enforcement history, and Asad's history. Let me explain to you exactly what I mean by that. When I was a child growing up in this very neighborhood right here, I was a 9-year-old child, and my mother used to work at a Popeyes restaurant right over here. It's still here. And basically, I was so poor that the best meal I would have was when she would go to get her paycheck every 2 weeks. And the guy who would be working there, his name was Prince, he would just grab out like a piece of fried chicken, just hand it to me. And I would just always go with her to go get her paycheck every 2 weeks from Popeyes. I was so poor at that time that I remember my relatives from Michigan coming over, and there was IHOP right outside my house that's still there. They just changed the location. And I remember one time we were going to a relative's house. He lived in Maryland, a little far from here, one of my mom's brothers, and he still lives in Maryland, a little far from here, in a different place though. But we were going to his house, and my relatives from Michigan asked me, and his kids were annoying him and saying, "Oh, Dad, there's IHOP right here. We want an IHOP. We want some food from here." And the dad looked at the kids, then he looked at me and he said, "Well, what do you want, son?" And I looked back at him and I was like, "I've never had it before. I don't know." So he looks at his kids and he goes, "Look at that. You guys are so ungrateful. He lives right here. He's never had it before." That was the day I found out that I was dirt poor. Before then, I didn't even know. And and so people in my pharmacy school, when I was overseas, used to ask me, "Son, what was your lifestyle like in the US? What did you live like? How was your life like?" And I used to tell them this story to sum up my entire childhood, pretty much. And they would just be like, "Oh my God, we didn't know poor people lived in America." And I would just be like, "Well, my mother was a single mother, so you can't expect anything else." So basically, Asad was one of these relatives from Michigan. His parents were okay, they were well off. Yeah. His dad earned good money working as an engineer, whatever it does. I don't know, I don't care. Anyways, he was not raised by a single mother. But when law enforcement goes around telling people that there's someone in the family who grew up dirt poor and has the brain savant with the capabilities of making him extremely rich in a period of 3 months, these people jump out of their seats due to extreme envy. And that's exactly what Asad did. After having law enforcement put on my TV home screen, "Hello, brother," with the Coke ad on there every single day so that he could try to sweet talk me and try to go run after these girls that I had absolutely no interest in. I have no interest in these girls. When I make my money, I only want to make my money. I don't want any trouble. Yeah. So basically, Asad tried to help law enforcement fabricate now. The reason was my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters, well, you know their history. I just told it to you. Extremely envious and greedy. They didn't even reveal their greed till February 17th at 3:02 a.m. Making fun of my brain savant, pretending like they knew nothing about it so that the courts would think that, oh, they're really helping out. Yeah, right. Do you not know the level of mass panic and chaos they created on November 20th with a crime and setting that didn't even exist? And they were obviously not helping out, but on February 17th, 3:02 a.m., they're told that my brain savant is getting freed is inevitable, due to which they reveal everything. They knew very well about my brain savant and its monetary potential. They made a list of things that they wanted. Send it to me all you want. I won't accept a single penny. Anyways, these are the second set of relatives from Michigan. People like Asad, extremely envious of me, someone who tried to run after the girls himself at one point by trying to run after me as well, and with these Coke ads on my TV home screen that said, "Hello, brother." My history, compared to Asad's, is that I pretty much grew up dirt poor, which means that I could not afford to go anywhere as a child. Most places I wouldn't go to. Most settings I would not be at. Most secrets I did not know of. No one shared anything with me or my mother. Later on, when I got my brain savant, I was glad that it was as it was. And me and my mother, we only worked hard when I was a child. So basically what happened was in August 9, 2022, there was a flight during which I was able to use my brain savant. They lowered the air drugging. For 6 hours I used it, and it was like an arm came out of my body. And they analyzed it for 8 months, after which time they started to bludgeon my head to try to damage my brain savant. They weren't able to do that. It raised a lot of human rights concerns, and I ran over to Saudi Arabia after my Indian visa was taking too long. India doesn't give out visas in a day or two. So I ran over to Saudi Arabia because they gave me a visa right away. By the time I came back on July 1st, 2023, every single person knew about my brain savant. And law enforcement was incredibly scared. They held the 6-hour-long brain savant test results for 8 months, from August 9th, 2022 till May 2023, at which time people had had enough. It was like the UFO stories. People wanted to know, what's the truth? Give it to us. What do you have? It's been 8 months now. This is enough. The law enforcement had to finally give them the info. I did not know there was a brain scanner, and law enforcement even knew. On July 1st, 2023, when I returned back home from Saudi Arabia, every single person knew about it. And even before I went to Saudi Arabia, I was trying to go to the Indian consulate in DC, an hour drive away from my house. Reason was I speak fluent Hindi, and I could live over there, go outside, meet around with people, go eat from the side street shops, and just roam around. You know their language. Coming back home is not going to be too hard. Going to a place where you don't speak their language, I don't speak Arabic. I still had to go to Saudi Arabia because they give out visas really quickly. But my point is, when I was trying to go to India, an hour drive away from my house, there was a girl outside the Indian consulate with a dog in each hand, and she clearly knew about it, about my brain savant. This is May 2023. People were already told. How many people had I told about my brain savant till now, since I found out about it in August 9, 2022? This is May 2023. 0. No one that I told about it. It was my little secret. I didn't tell anyone about it. Later on, I realized that this girl even knew. So when I came back home from Saudi Arabia on July 1st, 2023, every single person knew about my brain savant. Every single person did. Only because law enforcement had a brain scanner. The entire year of 2023, law enforcement was running their money fraud, where they would take their BFFs would run unemployment disability fraud, since no one gives their own money. And then that money would be wire transferred to law enforcement and their friends, mainly overseas. And law enforcement would meet with these people, arrange phone numbers, bank account numbers, everything possible in order to get this done. Not only this, in November 2023, law enforcement was aggressively running sex schemes for Uncle Joey. The reason was they were getting sex from Uncle Joey's in-laws since the year 2001. They had to give him back reciprocal sex scheme ads, and they found the perfect person. There's a guy in the family. He has an extremely rare brain savant that law enforcement themselves told everyone about. I never did. And they wanted Uncle Joey to be near this guy and play Uncle Joey from Full House. That's why we call him Uncle Joey. because law enforcement put on my YouTube Uncle Joey from Full House, letting me know that I was supposed to accept his phone call first before November 2023 and let him play Uncle Joey from Full House on the phone. I refused right away. I wasn't going to help out in any kind of sex scheme ads, and I didn't like Uncle Joey at all. My mother told me not to go near him when I was a child, and I never did. So in the entire year of 2023, law enforcement were running their sex scheme ads, they were running their money fraud, and their sex scheme ads they were running so aggressively that even foreign statesmen like Pervez Elahi started quoting Uncle Joey with the words "Asan Faramosh," meaning ungrateful child. This is how aggressively law enforcement was running their sex scheme ads. They tortured me for days and even stared me down in grocery stores. But my mother told me as a child never to go near Uncle Joey, and I never did. Law enforcement could do whatever the heck they felt like doing. I didn't go. And they did do everything they could. And that wasn't the only time they asked or tried to get Uncle Joey sex scheme ads by pretending to be near me. They tried it even after November 2023. And they tried it before then with the phone call with Uncle Joey from Full House. Anyways, the entire year of 2023, law enforcement was running their money fraud with their BFFs, sex schemes with people like Uncle Joey. I just don't know who they're running their money fraud with, but I know they're running it because they abruptly stopped asking me. So basically their money fraud and sex schemes are ongoing. And on top of that, after I won my case on August 25th, 2023, I told law enforcement and everyone straight out. That's when I told everyone. 3 months after everyone had already known about it, on July 1st, 2023, I told everyone August 25th, 2023. I said, I have a brain savant. It's extremely rare, it gives me superhuman powers. Law enforcement knows about it only because they obviously have a brain scanner. I thought I was the only one who knew. And law enforcement has my brain savant all locked up, as it is right now. But if you look at April 22nd, these ears were all the way on the back of my head, proving that they're locked right now, along with air jogging locking up other parts of my brain. So I told law enforcement straight out after August 25th, 2023, I said, look, I won my case fair and square. All you've done all year is run sex schemes and money fraud. I want to be able to study now. I've been a slave since I was an 11-year-old child, tortured every single day. God gifted me with a brain savant that's extremely rare, and I want to be able to use it now. I won my case fair and square. So what law enforcement now did was they started flashing me with severe mental torture drugs every time anyone would mention a wedding around me. And the reason law enforcement was doing this was only because they'd run sex schemes and money fraud all year, and these were going on since 2001 with Uncle Joey's in-laws. So they had to frame me for something now that I'd won my case on August 25th, 2023, or else they'd have to let me study with my brain savant powers. And artificial intelligence had already told law enforcement from the 6-hour-long test done on August 9, 2022, that if this kid studies, within 3 months, he's going to be a millionaire. I have innovation, photographic memory, and focusing. I have the best in the world, the best brain savant there is. There are a lot of brain savants out there. There's Daniel Tammet, he's got photographic memory. There's Cody Lee, he's my absolute favorite genius, he's a singer. And there are a lot of us out there. A brain savant is basically a genetic mutation due to autism. For some people, it evolves over time, like me. For some people, they're born with it. It gives you a gift from God that normal human beings do not have. So I had this, and after August 25th, 2023, I told law enforcement straight out. I said, look, I have a brain savant. I know you know, and I never told a single soul about it. And now that I won my case on August 25th, 2023, I want to be able to use it now. So let me study. Law enforcement did not do so. Instead, they tried to frame me for a wedding incident that occurred, which was incredibly stupid, since I knew when they were doing this that I would not be present at this wedding. My mother was working in fast food restaurants when I was a child. Growing up, most of my life we used to be poor, and It wasn't until my sister got her college degree and everything that things started to change, which meant that this wedding incident was a confession that law enforcement just made to me out of their desperation for a crime that they themselves covered over, which meant that they were part of this crime. So not only were law enforcement running sex schemes and money fraud the entire year, sex schemes that they were running for Uncle Joey so aggressively that Pervez Elahi started quoting Uncle Joey just to show his allegiance with law enforcement against me. Law enforcement had just confessed to me about a crime that they had covered over, which means that they were a part of this crime. Which really begs the question on why news media is so supportive of law enforcement. Anyways, I knew right away that I would not be present at this wedding because I never knew about any crimes occurring at any weddings. Even if you're a child, something happens, you know about it. And if someone whispers in your ears, well, you don't forget a crime or something bad that happened. And not only could I not afford to go to any weddings, most of them, that I knew for a fact I wasn't there, because if I would be, then I would know about it, whatever the heck they were trying to frame me for. I couldn't afford to go anywhere where anyone would whisper into my ears any secrets either, which meant that I knew for a fact that I told law enforcement right there and then. I was like, not only would I not be present at this wedding due to being too poor to go there in the first place, my mother was working in fast food restaurants. She couldn't afford to take me there, something only I knew about my childhood. I also told law enforcement, not only could I not afford to go to this wedding, I couldn't afford to go to anyone's house, due to which they would whisper into my ears the secret or thing that occurred at this wedding, which meant that I had absolutely nothing to do with it. And it also meant that the same law enforcement that had been running money fraud and sex schemes the entire year of 2023 had just confessed to me about a crime that they were involved in. Out of sheer desperation that I'd won my case on August 25th, 2023, with them thinking that they're going to have to let me study unless they try to frame me. Well, before they tried to frame me at the end of 2023, they confessed to one of their law enforcement people that this was obviously something that I couldn't have anything to do with. Not only would I not be present there, I couldn't afford to be present there. My mother worked at fast food restaurants. She worked at the Popeyes right over here that's still over here. And not only could I not afford to be at this wedding, I couldn't afford to be anywhere after this wedding where people would share their secrets about what happened either. So I could not know about what had happened. My entire childhood was pretty much my mother working hard and me working hard with her. As soon as I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, biggest evidence of this wedding that they tried to frame me for. So now we had money fraud being run all throughout 2023. We also have the sex scheme for Uncle Joey so aggressively run and me tortured for days with stomach torture, and also Pervez Elahi quoting Uncle Joey, showing his allegiance with law enforcement and them against me. And now a crime that law enforcement had just confessed to me in their sheer desperation. They confessed about a crime, something that definitely occurred after August 25th, 2023. With law enforcement realizing that there's no way they'd have to let me study, and they knew about my brain savant, something I never told anyone about my brain savant. So, I mean, it begs the question why the news media is so supportive of law enforcement. Do you not know what they've done since 2001? Absolutely nothing but sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws, money fraud that's been going on for years and years, collecting thousands of dollars from disabled and unemployed Americans, and wire transfer to law enforcement's own friends while they turn a blind eye to all the corruption and greed. And also now you have crimes that are coming out that law enforcement told me themselves. And I was just like, thank you, sir, for telling me. I would not know about this. And it begs the question why the news media is so supportive of law enforcement. I have no clue why. Well, anyways, so basically the thing I could guarantee the courts was, this was my history. As a child, when my mother would go to fast food restaurants to go work, she would leave me behind with anyone possible. There's a reason my mother still showed anger in the phone conversation from Russia. She held a great amount of regret for leaving me behind with people like Uncle Joey, who would look for women online all day while being asked to watch children. And after my mother caught him doing that, I was never seen around Uncle Joey ever again. She told me not to go, and law enforcement tortured me multiple times in my life to try to force me to go near Uncle Joey, which I never ever did. The last time was a couple months ago when law enforcement called Uncle Joey again, even after the funeral in November 2023. Called him over again, stalked me, and then as soon as I came back from work, Uncle Joey comes out of the car to the back to try to, I guess, take a picture with me. I just didn't say a word to him. I just went inside my house. Yes, law enforcement has tried this many times. And each and every time they would torture me and say things about me that I'm proud or this or that. I just have no interest in law enforcement's low-life friends in the family. No one would. Anyways, even if, yeah. So the fact of the matter is, they're making me forget. Law enforcement is making me forget now with all their drugs. They don't like hearing the truth. But this was my history, my entire childhood, growing up, the fact that I couldn't be anywhere, proven through this wedding incident that law enforcement tried to frame me for, and the fact that if anyone did say anything bad around me as a child, let's say Uncle Joey did, it would only be with my mother not being present there, since she couldn't be present at two places at once, and it would only be with me being a child. Children are not held liable under the law, and then law enforcement has to explain why they've been running sex scenes with Uncle Joey's in-laws since 2001. If Uncle Joey did say anything bad around me when I was a child. And my mother would not be present there since she cannot be present at two places at once. And even if someone did say anything bad around me as a child, it would only be saying and not doing. And in 2011, my dad was doing something dangerous by recruiting people for mass murder from his house each and every single day in 2011. So law enforcement went and tipped him off. This is not how law enforcement was supposed to handle this. Law enforcement was supposed to send in people to try to investigate and find out exactly what this man was, my dad, the greedy framer, was trying to do. How many people he had joined terror groups at that time. How many people he recruited to mass murder innocent human beings at that time. Law enforcement did none of this. Instead, law enforcement said, "Sir, you're becoming a nuisance from our sex and money fraud that we're running. Can you please just not do this right now till he leaves, as in I leave?" They tipped him off. Not something they were supposed to be doing, but that's what they did. And what my dad was doing in 2011 was extremely dangerous, and that's called doing, not saying. Since we do not know how many people mass murdered anyone from his sermons, since people think that he's some sort of a mystical power guy on this planet who gets people's prayers answered, which is why he carries around a 5-foot-long beard. If you don't believe me, ask the people around him. They'll tell you I'm telling the truth. The same mystical power guy who gets people's prayers answered asked law enforcement on March 12, 2026, if I was willing to fulfill his sexual perversions by sleeping with his disgusting, ugly-looking old wife. Yeah, those prayers are not being answered by him. I can guarantee you that much. So basically, that's my story. My entire childhood, being raised by my mother. And my mother's never been heard uttering one word considered bad, racist, anti-government, any way, shape, or form, to the point that they had a brain scanner attached to my brain years from before July 1st, 2023, finding out exactly what my thought process is like. And the only thing they found out was that I would meet people that were Christian, Hindu, Jewish, or whether they were Orthodox Jewish with big beards, and I would meet them with the same level of love and respect for each and every single one of them, just like how my mother was. She's been watched with me for more than 25 years, never knew about any investigations, and yet she's never uttered one bad word considered bad her entire life. Unlike my dad, the greedy framer, who had to be tipped off in 2011 for recruiting people to mass murder innocent human beings in 2011. Only one of the 3 times I've ever met him in my entire life. So basically, that was my history as a child growing up. And in 2023, law enforcement found out about my brain savant, due to which they had to go and recruit all these people to make false testimonies against me, like my dad, the greedy framer, who had an envious motive against me, due to which he made false testimonies against me starting November 20th, 2025, only to make sure that my brain savant could not get freed at any cost. That was my dad, the greedy framer, and these set of relatives. And now you have other set of relatives, like Asad. The thing that I could guarantee about the wedding incident is the fact that Asad and Sohaib would definitely be present there, as they were present in every single wedding, occasion, family gathering, and funeral that occurred. They would know about whatever it was that law enforcement was trying to frame me for, and I can also guarantee that law enforcement would never ask Asad or any of the relatives from Michigan a single question relating to it. In fact, in 2019, Bushra Akhtar was trying to tell me something about a secret. You gotta remember, this is 2019 and not when I was a child. When I was a child, no one ever talked to me. My mother worked at fast food restaurants. We didn't ever go to anyone's house. No one ever invited us. And no one came to our house either. So basically, I never knew about anything. But in 2019, Bushra Akhtar was trying to tell me something. And I told her straight out, look, I don't want to know whatever it is you're trying to tell me. In 2023, law enforcement knew